Hi friends, I'm Les Mood, your host. Welcome to the Destination for Innovation series brought to you by the City of Bakersfield and GreenTech Network. Today we're in the Bay and we're in beautiful RE Plus, Northern California, and we have a special guest with us today. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Matthew, could you share a little bit about yourself and maybe something the world doesn't know about you besides the fact that you're from Canada?
I guess a little bit about me. Like you say, I'm from Canada. I live in the Vancouver area in British Columbia. I've been in the industry now, I think I started originally at Xantrex Technologies way back when in 2007. Lived through the acquisition by Schneider Electric. Left the industry for a short period of time on the solar side, but went into the alternative fuels space, so that's probably something people don't know. And then came back with Discover Battery, I guess about 5 years ago now, and we've just recently transitioned our company and separated out our lithium business now into a completely different separate company from what we call the old Discover. So now we're Discover Energy Systems and focus solely on lithium and the solar business.
Really amazing. So you've made the rounds. Where would you say that your journey in the industry began?
I think really it started with Xantrex and sort of, stumbled into things by accident to some degree. So wasn't really looking to come into the renewable space. I left the high-tech world. I worked for HP. So I was really just looking for a job and stumbled into it and haven't looked back since. So it's been an amazing journey and an amazing ride.
Well, if you were in computers before even this, that was probably a fun journey as well. What are you doing these days to make the world a better place?
Yeah, so I think our big focus with our company, I'd sort of summarize it as, we believe as a company that everybody has the right to energy independence. So our whole thing today is really around developing products that are easy for installers to install, easy for a homeowner to put in their home, really to allow, like we say, allowing everybody to have energy independence.
So you have a lot of experience in the industry. Could you share some struggles and maybe triumphs associated with those struggles that we could learn from?
Sure. I think that, one of the interesting things we're seeing today in energy storage in particular is a proliferation of companies that are coming in, most out of China, not with names anybody recognizes, but they're literally spawning. It seems like battery companies are spawning other battery companies. So it's becoming very confusing, I think, for a lot of people. So I would suggest a big struggle for us is how do you rise above that and actually, be the company that we want to be and we need to be. I think our big triumph, I suppose, in all this is we've been around for 75 years. So it's something, probably a little known fact is we started initially 75 years ago in the battery distribution space and then grew into battery manufacturing and obviously end up where we are today where, we're a lithium battery company and really a solutions provider for people. So I think that whole challenge for us is really how do we differentiate and how are we different from others that you see coming into this space.
Yeah, excellent point. I couldn't agree more. And quality and branding is so important.
Absolutely.
And seeing the mainstreaming of the technology with brands that you can trust is very important.
Yeah.
In terms of advice, do you have some advice that you would like to share with the industry or people?
Sure. I think the big thing that we're facing today is around regulatory requirements and what do people need to have, as far as regulatory on products that they want to put in their home or install into somebody's residence or even into a commercial application. So I think the advice we have for people is do the right thing. There are proper test procedures to be doing, and I think we're seeing a lot of people that are making claims on particular regulatory requirements that they have. And I'll give you a direct example, UL 9540A, and people are making claims that we have a certification to 9540A. Well, the reality is there is no certification. It's not it's just a test. So it reports on what happens when there's a thermal runaway event. So we're seeing a lot of people resting their laurels on saying, oh, we have a UL 9540A certification, which is absolutely false. So I would suggest to people, really understand what it is that you're looking at. If you're looking for UL 9540, make sure it's actually UL 9540 and that there's a proper certification that's issued by an NRTL. If it's not, I would stay as far away from it as you can.
Speaking of, staying away from things, there's hurdles and there's roadblocks in the way of the energy transition or transformation, as we would like to call it. So these next questions are more of a thought experiment to think about, hey, let's not think about the problems, but maybe some of the possibilities. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, what is some low-hanging fruit that people could bite into to make the world a better place?
Yeah, so I think, if we think about things on the energy storage side, especially here in California, just the other day, PG&E increased the rates. So we're now, I think, in California facing the highest rates in the nation with electricity. So some of the low-hanging fruit for us is there's all kinds of technology out there today to help a homeowner to actually put solar in their home. Not just with, tax credits from the feds where you can actually save, starting at 30% and growing, to make that bridge that gap and make it easier for people. But it actually makes sense to put solar plus storage in your home to avoid all the energy costs that you have through your local utility. So to me, that's a really quick and easy thing to be done that homeowners could be doing today. It's not something you have to wait for some future technology to come out. That's available right now.
It's really neat how there's been this democratization of access to the technology. So yeah, it's actually very amazing that homeowners can access this technology and leverage it in these modern times. In terms of bigger challenges, what are some of the bigger challenges and opportunities that we should tackle?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we're coming across fairly regularly is that people's AHJs, their authority having jurisdiction, they're always seemingly playing catch up. There's always new regulatory requirements or fire code requirements or things that happen. And it's them really understanding what the requirements are or interpreting code differently. And it becomes a real challenge when you could go from one jurisdiction to another having the exact same code, and one will pass something and another one won't. And it's just simply on the basis of not understanding or interpreting the code incorrectly. So I think the industry as a whole has probably a big obligation to actually help to transition that and help train the people who are really in the positions to allow these systems to be put into homes and onto the grid or off grid for that matter, to make that a lot easier.
In terms of making things easier or just in general the process, what role do you see community playing in that?
Yeah, I think, well, listen, we can define community in probably a number of different ways. So let me try and tackle that. So I believe, as an industry, us as a bunch of manufacturers form one community of people who really need to work together and collaborate, because in a lot of cases, and as you walk through the show, you can see, there's energy storage companies like ours and power electronics companies and, special load panel companies that are doing all kinds of interesting things. So we all need to come together and ensure that all of our products work together seamlessly so that an installer just has an easy job or a homeowner has a really easy job actually putting something in their home. The other thing too, of course, I think if you look at the larger community as in a bunch of residents or a city or municipality is, again, people working together and understanding that, sun is free, or the energy coming from the sun is free. You just have to put all the stuff together and make it easy for a homeowner to actually be able to integrate that into their own needs for their own energy, independence and requirements.
Yeah. In this grand process in terms of inclusion and equity, do you think that inclusion and equity are possible in the process, and if so, how?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one. I think, listen, as far as including as many people as possible, I think we've seen a big change even in the past 5 years. I've been in the energy storage space, where I'll give you an example where our old battery that we had when I first joined was $7,500 for a 6.65 kilowatt hour battery. We're now at a stage where we now have a 5 kilowatt hour battery that's $1,900. So, less than a third of where we are. So I think the costs coming down have certainly opened things up to a much larger swath of society. It's not just for the elite and the super rich anymore. It's everyday people who can actually afford to put these sorts of systems in. Solar panels have come down drastically in the past 15 years or 20 years. Power electronics, same thing, they've come way down. So I think it's much more accessible, is probably the term I'd use, is way more accessible for people. And then you couple that with tax incentives that you can get through the ITC program, and all of a sudden you're lowering those costs by an additional 30% perhaps. So it's very affordable for people. It makes all kinds of sense. And again, the payback period on these systems now is, it isn't 20 plus years like it used to be. It can actually be under 7. So it becomes a really, really accessible and available technology for people.
It's really neat how innovation just drives down the price of things and expands the access. It's really neat, this whole process. In terms of when you're looking back and you say, hey, what you'd like to accomplish, or what you and your associates would like to accomplish, what would you like to see happen as a result of all of your efforts?
Yeah, I think we really want to see, whether it's obviously we'd love to see our products be proliferating everywhere, but the reality is, I think as an industry, I would really like just to see, my ideal world is every home has a solar plus storage system on it, where everybody has the energy independence that they need and keeping their costs of electricity down. And I would suggest there's even places in the U.S. that today, like some of the First Nations lands, have no electricity today. And I think that's something that everybody has a right to having energy. So I would love to see our industry and have everything available to absolutely everybody.
Couldn't agree more with that. And we're actually here because of the City of Bakersfield and the Destination for Innovation series. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what could the City of Bakersfield do to be more of a destination for innovation?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is, and I mentioned this earlier, is working with the AHJs and having them really understand what the codes and compliances are, and work with us as manufacturers to help educate their people, and making this just as simple and as seamless and as easy for a homeowner or a builder or a contractor to actually work and get these systems installed into homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. And actually, I like being in Bakersfield and Kern County because it's known for being very proactive and very friendly when it comes to permitting. So you guys are welcome to come on.
Absolutely, would love to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us on the Destination for Innovation. Be sure to connect, collaborate, and create, and we will see you soon.